Hello everyone, let's begin for 27/8/2018 the Hindu analysis. The first news item, the new chapters to enable the tech transfer. This is basically with respect to the SP model where the policy is intended to promote the defense private sector participation in defense manufacturing, which came into effect from May 31st, 2017. So on limelight of it, now the ministry is expected to release the project specific implementation guidelines, which would be for 111 naval utility helicopters, which is under the strategic partnership model. We call it as an SP model. So now the issue is that the foreign companies need certain clarity with respect to the crucial legal liability and also the technology transfer issues. So as per that, there are two important issues which has to be sorted. One is a legal issue where they tell that selling a submarine or a fighter jet to a private company is being completely barred, and the global regulations do not allow it, and it has been always with a government owned company. It is basically a government to government component in the end. So for the first time now, the Indian private companies will get tied up with the global original equipment manufacturers and build a major defense platforms in India, which is under the technology transfers. So far what had been as a practice is that the defense PSUs, so the public sector undertakings, so they would be having a very lead role. But right now the Indian private company is also coming onto the limelight, and other issues with the liability of the end product, because they are not sure about the stand guarantee of the finished products which is being done by the local company. So they're not aware to what kind of a standard of or guarantee can be given by the products, the end products which is being done by the local company, because this was one of the major issue in the earlier medium multi-role combat aircraft, which was a deal of almost like 126 jets which got derailed at the contract negotiation stage. So this was after the Dassault Aviation refused to stand the guarantee to the aircraft which is being manufactured by HAL. So this was something related to it, and they're telling that they required some clarity from the MOD on the productions of the transfer and also the technology transfer as well. So now we have the DAC, that is the Defense Acquisition Council, which cleared the general as well as some project specific implementation guidelines. So as we begin, this is to lay the emphasis on the transfers of the technology and also to have an high absorptions of indigenous content. So the guidelines and the qualification guidelines are yet to be communicated to the industries. So this all procurement to whatever happens under the SP model would be executed by the specially constituted empowered project committees, that is EPC, to ensure timely execution. This is apart from the helicopters. The projects to be proposed under the SP model are fighter aircraft, P-75I submarines and the armored vehicles. So these are the main concepts with respect to SP model, and which is one which executes is the empowered project committee. So this is about it, and you have the details here. You can just go through them. The next one, unlisted firms may have to issue the shares only in demat form. So this is with respect to the government will make it more mandatory for unlisted companies to issue new shares only in the dematerialized form. We call it as a demat form. Intensified efforts to fight the black money menace. So this is basically with respect to those sort of companies, even if they want to issue the new shares or transfer of shares by the unlisted companies, year after it should be compulsorily done by the demat form. So this was a decision which was being taken by all the stakeholders, and with respect to it, even the bonus shares and also the stock split also, which requires a demat form. So the main purpose behind this particular demat move is that to enhance more transparency in ownership at the corporates, curb Benami transactions, and also bolster the efforts to weed out the shell companies that are allegedly used for illicit activities. So these are the main grounds to why we are making it as a demat form, and to moreover to take up with certain pledgings of the duplicate shares, so that you know better to what is your customers in sense KYC, know your customers framework will be more in bluster, and also duplicate shares can be avoided. And the ministry is also extensive deliberations with market regulator, that is SEBI, on the matter of unlisted companies where it wants the shares to be in the dematerialized form. So now the corporate affairs minister has held the discussions with the depositors and as well the registers to an issue of the transfers and also with respect to the transfer agents. So they have been asked to keep the cost at a minimum of conversion of shares from the physical form to dematerialized form by the unlisted companies. So just because now it's been coming under the dematerialized form, the cost to what is being gonna get incurred should be of the minimum for any sort of a conversion. And there's also one issue which has been very sorted out, that the listed companies need not have any shares in the electronic form. Still now it's not made anything to be as compulsory, so they can continue the way they do it off. So this is about the unlisted firms. The next one, PSU banks plan closure of 70 overseas offices in financial year 18. So this is with respect to the public sector banks are in the process of closing or rationalizing about 70 overseas operations as a part of capital conservation exercise. So this is with respect to shutting out the various multiple branches in the same cities or nearby the places are being rationalized with achieving certain efficiency. So this is basically with respect to right now the PSPs has closed down 35 foreign operations last year, and you have like 159 branches of the PSPs operating in the foreign countries, of which 41 branches made losses with almost like 2016 and 17. So you have the details that by 2018, that's on Jan 31st, PSPs had 165 overseas branches, and this is besides the subsidiaries, joint ventures, and also the representative offices. So SBI had the largest number of the overseas branches, which has been 52, which has been followed by the Bank of Baroda 50 and the Bank of India 29. So this is basically to close all the multiple branches and also in various cities and ensure that capital conservation becomes more exercisable. So this is about it. The next one, switch to chip-based cards, SBI. So this is basically with respect to the country's largest lender, that is SBI, has asked its customers to get their ATM cum debit cards with a magnetic strip, which has been replaced with EMV chip before December 31st. So what does EMV stands for? It's a Euro Pay MasterCard Visa. So PIN, that is the PIN, stands for personal identification number. So this is with respect to year after they have to get replaced with respect to EMV chip, because this would help them to get protect against the counterfeit, and also with respect to the those kind of counterfeit and also the lost and the stolen card fraud, so they can recovered very faster, and any fraudulence happening based on the cards can be avoided at the earliest, and this is issued at the free of cost. So this is for all the SBI holders, where you have to get replaced within December 31st. The next one, set up high value textile making units. So this is basically with respect to the textile industry, which has definitely an opportunity emerging, where the global in a high value manufacturing by converting the fiber into fiber assemblies, basically the textiles into a fiber assemblies. And here the high value manufacturing are nothing but the sectors which include the aerospace, automotives, energies, and also the defense. So now if you see, the current century is about the fibers, which includes a carbon and also the glass fibers, and these will revolutionize the way they make the products in the near future. So here the technical textiles, even the small or the medium scale enterprises can tap their potential in new fibers and convert those into a suitable high value products. So they want to convert it into high value products, and only one sector which has a potential to give an opportunity to the fiber is the textile industry. So this industry should go behind high volume businesses to high value businesses, because the technical textile units can be fiber converters. So for the Indian industries, awareness should be more improved, and they should also get more adapted to the technology, so the conversion from one sector to another sector would be possible. So here the number is few, as the functionalities in three-dimensional weaving using these fibers are different, and the units need to have a requisite technology and a manufacturing for this particular purposes. For any kind of functionalities to happen, which means that we need to have a requisite technology and a machinery for this purpose. And the normal textiles, that is a price realized in the minimum in the fiber assemblies, which can be converted into high performance products, that is basically realization in the much higher levels. So this is basically with respect to textile industry, which has a potential to convert it into a fiber industry. That's about it. The next one, delays plague projects despite radar. So this is basically with respect to the property worth of $47 billion is locked in a delayed projects across India. So this is basically with respect to causing a distress among the home buyers. So the bulk of this particular delayed projects is more in the NCR, that's a National Capital Region, and MMR, Mumbai Metropolitan Region. So there are more than 4.65 lakh units in housing projects across India are running significantly behind their delivery deadlines, which means that they're not able to deliver on a timely basis to whatever is being done. So right now you have here the issues like almost like 70% of the projects is being halted, and these projects are all on or hold on account of financial constraints. First and foremost, these are the main reasons to why they have not been able to complete it. One is the financial constraints, execution challenges, surplus supply due to over ambitious launches by the developers, environmental clearances, and also slowing sales, among others. So right now what is the only thing which can be done is to resolve the issue in the form of consolidation that will be led by the larger and more capable developers. So would be able to have the constructions and also to execute the capability which has been promised. And apart from that, most of these projects are stuck because there are developers do not have the funds to complete the project, because as there is a financial crunch happening with the developers, they're not able to complete the projects as what is being said. So now comes the RERA, which is to enforce the original completion of dates, which will force the developers to expedite these joint ventures. So under RERA, what happens is that the developer would be given a new completion deadline and is looking forward to hand over the units to those who had booked apartments. So this is about you have to get in more touch with RERA. So there's one part of RERA where it's giving a completion of the deadline, so that they have to complete it and give it to them. And earlier the developers were disorganized and the permissions too were delayed. This was impacting on the projects in return because they were not organized and they had no proper permissions on timely basis. So on the flip side, now the RERA has given all the opportunity to the developers to be transparent as well as deliver for a new deadline as per whatever is the requirement. This would actually help the stalled projects on the fast track so that they can complete it, and the developers also believe that the backlog will clear in the next 2 to 3 years. So as the RERA has taken an initiative, as it got been as a new policy which has been come out here, so here most of the developers feel that to whatever the problems they had it under backlog can be completed in the next 2-3 years, so that the projects which has been stalled will not be having any issues. So it's about the RERA, and you have basic informations to the lack of funds of big reasons and other things. You just go through them. So this is about it, and the question for the day is you have to brief on the Asian Games which is happening right now, and you have to brief on RERA. So these two becomes very important for your prelims as well as for your mains. So these were important as news items for 27/8/2018. Thank you.